Hello children. Till now we have finished about autotrophic nutrition. Now we are going to learn about heterotrophic nutrition. In autotrophic nutrition, the organisms which can prepare their own food materials, like plants. Even some plants are also not able to prepare their own food materials. What are those? We will go through that. In the heterotrophic mode of nutrition, the plants are the organisms which depend on other organisms for their food to perform their metabolic activities. It's called heterotrophic nutrition. How this heterotrophic nutrition is based means depending upon the availability of food and food what they are means depending upon the food items, the organisms, the intake of the food by the organism. These heterotrophic organisms are again divided into many types. If you see, some organisms will depend on dead and decaying matter and they break down the complex substance into simple substance outside their body only. Such type of organisms are called saprophytes. Means they break down the food particles into smaller substance and consume it outside the body only. Why? Because they are not able to intake those food materials as complex one. So they break down into smaller particles, just like fungi, mushroom. Next, parasitic nutrition. You have already learned about this one. In this, the organisms will depend on other organisms. We call that organisms means on which organism the parasitic means here the dependent is the parasitic and which is serving food to that parasite is called host. The plant or animal which depends on other organism, that is a host for their food, are called parasitic organisms. We can also call it as parasitism. Example for parasites are cuscuta, leech, lice, mosquitoes. The leech are the small insects which will depend on buffaloes or cows' skin for their food. They suck the blood of that organisms and depend on that organism. If you see, there are some other organisms which take their food by some organs such as unicellular microorganisms, amoeba, paramecium. If you see in the amoeba, it is a unicellular organism which does not have any definite shape. It does not have any shape. See, this is the structure of an amoeba. It does not have any definite shape. It can change its shape according to the situation or according to the movement. It does not have any special organelles to ingest the food or exhale the food outside. So the outer membrane, the cell membrane, act as the ingestion of the food and also excreting the waste materials. This amoeba has a layer which is able to select the membranes which which can pass through that membrane. That's why we call it as selective permeable membrane. Means the essential nutrients or the water only absorbed through the membrane, which is essential for the organisms. Means around the organism, if any substances which are present around the organisms, it will not able to take all the substances. Means whatever the substances required for its growth or multiplication, that are only observed by the cell membrane of amoeba. So that's why we call it as selective permeable membrane. If any food particle is there near to that organism, it protrudes its projections. You can see here. These projection-like structures are called pseudopodia. They engulf. If it is a structure of amoeba, it will protrude its finger-like projections and helps in these pseudopodia helps in the absorption of food materials and takes that into its body through the semi-permeable membrane. You can see here the food is outside where the projections are covering the amoeba, and this projection is covering the food particle. Then this inner side of projection will disappear and you can see the food is engulfed through the cell membrane, and the food gets absorbed or stored in the food vacuole. So here no specific organelles are there. The cell body is only able to take the food particles. Even the whatever the waste materials which are present, excess amount of water after digesting the food, those are also excreted out through this selective permeable membrane, that is cell membrane only. There is no any organelle for amoeba for the process of digestion and excretion. So the food vacuole plays a main role, and also pseudopodia, which helps in the movement and absorption of meats for taking the food materials. If you see the paramecium, which is the shape of the slipper-like, it is the shape of slipper-like. Which gives the shape of slipper. It does not have any organelles. Means here you can see it contains the oral glue and one anal glue. The oral glue helps in the absorption of food materials, whereas the anal glue helps in the expelling the waste out. So the cilia which are covered the same as the cilia which is present outside the body of this paramecium helps the organism to move the food particles towards the anal glue. This is if it is the anal glue, these cilia will move here and there and move that food particles inside the oral glue and helps in the process of ingestion. Then these food particles are enters into the paramecium. After digestion, again the waste also excreted in the same manner outside through the anal glue. So this is the process. We call here oral glue as the cytostome. So this is the process in which the unicellular organisms helps in the process of food materials. If you see one more example of parasitic nutrition, the good example is Cuscuta. Cuscuta, if it is a host plant, the Cuscuta will circle just like the tendrils. It rotates to the host plant and covers the plant. It does not have any leaves. because of the absence of leaves, it does not have any chlorophyll to prepare its food materials. So how can it live? Means these cuscuta have small root-like structures that just like thorns, you know how it will be, just like a sharp-edged one. These sharp-edged roots will penetrate into the host plant. It can penetrate that it can penetrate that root-like structure. We call them as haustoria. The root-like structures are called haustoria. These can penetrate deep into the vascular bundles. The vascular bundles are nothing but xylem and phloem. Those are the structures which helps in the process of transportation of water and food materials. So, by the penetration of these haustoria into the vascular bundle, there is a blockage of transportation of food materials and water in the plant. So what happens? Without the transportation of these food materials and water, sometimes the host plant may also die. So if you see, these cuscuta sometimes may kill the host plant also. This root-like structure helps the parasitic plant, that is the cuscuta, to absorb the food materials from the host plant. Without preparing its food materials, it can live with the help of host plant, and they also having, when these root-like structure again come in contact with the soil, it grow into another new plant and it will cut from that parent plant, that is the parasite. It can cut from his parent plant and it will live as an individual by selecting another host plant for their food. The next topic is nutrition in human beings. Till now we have learned about how the nutrition takes place in plants and unicellular organisms. Now we are going to learn about human beings. How the nutrition is there and how the process of digestion starts. If you see the nutrition of human beings, the alimentary canal which starts from the mouth to anus, it measures about 9 meters. The alimentary canal from mouth to the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. These all are included as alimentary canal which measures 9 meters. And the process of digestion is very complex. It does not take place in one single step. It takes a different sequence, and each and every level enzymes and juices are produced. If you see, when we keep food in our mouth, the taste buds observe the taste and recognize it and send message to the brain to produce the enzymes and juices in their respective places for the next level of digestion. So the brain takes that information from the taste buds and sends the information to their respective places to produce their enzymes or juices. So about these you can learn in the chapter 7. But now how the passage of food from alimentary canal, from mouth through alimentary canal takes place. We eat a variety of things that must be passed from our mouth through the alimentary canal and that must be converted into simpler ones and utilized by our body for further. So it takes a series of steps. The food, whatever we are eating, when we keep that food in our mouth, it must cut and crushed properly. Why? Because the food we are taking is a complex one. It consisting of complex compounds like fats, proteins, oils, everything. So it is a complex. It takes a lot of time and difficulty for the digestive system to digest in a single step. So it must be crushed properly to utilize, to be absorbed by our body easily and digested easily. So the food, the process of taking food and chewing it properly is called mastication. Means the taking food, chewing the food is called, we will call it as mastication. For the process of mastication, the salivary glands helps for the process of mastication. Why? Because the saliva is produced in the mouth will help for the chewing the food properly, and it also converts the complex carbohydrates into simple ones. Means therefore the process is started in the mouth only. The carbohydrates are broken down in the mouth itself. These salivary glands are again three pairs. The first one is submandibular, which are located on the either sides of jaw. You can see here either sides of the jaw. And submaxillary glands, which are placed under the tongue, under our tongue. Here you can see that one. And the third one is parotid gland, which are placed on the sides of the ear, on the sides of the ear. These three pairs of the salivary glands helps in the production of an enzyme called amylase. This amylase helps in converting the carbohydrates in the simple ones into simple ones. These simple ones again enters into the esophagus and the process go, means it is making, the amylase is making the food as it can be digested in the further steps of the digestion, further steps of our digestive system. So the process of converting complex carbohydrates into simpler ones by the action of enzyme called amylase and utilizing by our body is called digestion. Is called digestion. Once again I repeat the definition. The process of converting complex carbohydrates into simpler ones by the action of enzyme amylase and utilizing it by our body is called digestion. So if you see, when the food, here the process of chewing takes place and it enters into food pipe. From the food pipe it enters into stomach and another substances, other components present in the food are digested and they are further sent to next process of digestion into small intestine and then into large intestine, and all the essential nutrients are absorbed by these alimentary canal and the waste is expelled through the anus. It is not simple one. Here when the food enters into food pipe, that food pipe, in the food pipe the food won't move in the proper way, means it takes it takes a wavy motion. In the wavy motion, we call it as peristaltic movement. Means here, if you see the wavy motion means here the food is, it will be enlarged. The next one is normal. Then the food, here the longitudinal muscles, they press the food. Then the food moves downwards, elongating the circular muscles. There are circular and longitudinal muscles here. When the food is pushed with the longitudinal muscles, then it enters into the next place. That's the next sequence. Here again the circular muscles helps in widening of the food pipe. Again these widening of food pipe takes place. Then these above the part of the circular muscles, the longitudinal muscles will get normal state. And again these circular muscles get, these longitudinal muscles get contracted. Again the food is pushed in this way. We call it as wavy motion. So we will learn more about this peristaltic movement in the next class. Children, try to write your notes. Thank you. See you in the next class.